Hey everyone, welcome to Quilt-Cam. It's a Sunday afternoon in November, mid-November, and I'm happy to be here and have the chance to actually sit at a sewing machine. We haven't done Quilt-Cam in many moons. I'm sure it's been over a month. I think the entire month of October was spent between a cruise, a trip to Maine, a trip to Washington State, and then getting ready to head out to Peru. I returned from Peru just this past, what was it, Tuesday or Wednesday? I honestly can't remember. And I'm happy to actually have some machine time on a weekend to spend putting some pieces together, putting the fabric through the machine, putting the thread and stitches together. What am I making? I am working on, can you see behind me the quilt over here? I actually got the inner turquoise border on that quilt this past few days when I had a couple of hours to spare. And I'm now piecing some string sections that will be joined end to end and give me a nice wider border for the outside of this quilt. And I plan to bind it with the turquoise when I'm finished. But it just needed more than ending right where it is. It's not a very big quilt right now. So this will give me a little bit more pizzazz to the quilt. I'm lowering my chair just a bit because I'm sitting too tall for my machine. So what I've got going here, this is some sheets of phone book paper. You can see it's still got phone numbers and stuff on it. And I have started sewing the strings through the paper. And I've done string piecing like this with you guys before. I do a lot of it. I love string piecing. I love building fabric covered units that I can cut and shape however I want them. And I feel like that adds a lot of interest to the quilts I'm working on. When I cover the page, I will be able to get 2 border widths across the page. So it goes a little bit faster than if I were just sewing on little narrow strips of paper. And if my strips are too small, let's see if I can find a place where I've done that for you. Yeah, right here. Can you see that this piece has 2 pieces in it? It's got a white piece and a more tan piece there. If I have short strips, I just join them end to end to end until it's long enough to go down the length of the paper. And then when I cross cut, I just let those seams fall wherever they may. And that way I am able to use up all the small little stuff that just seems to accumulate to the side of my machine. What am I working out of today? My big bag of neutral strings. If I am trimming up a piece of fabric, maybe cutting squares, maybe cutting strips or triangles or whatever it is, and if there is a little bit of something left over, maybe from a backing or whatever, this one says Pittsburgh Steelers on it. I know my friend Andy will be all excited about that one. It just goes in the neutral string bin. If it's a blue, it goes in the blue bin. If it's a red, it goes in the red bin. And I do have one bin that is multicolored everything. So if I want to do something really scrappy, I can. My fabric is good to the last drop. What's in these bags and bins? The last drop. So we're going to have some fun doing that. I'm going to put my phone on vibrate right now, or else we will hear it pinging throughout the whole thing. If this is your first time at Quilt-Cam, I want to welcome you. Come on, baby. We're going to go down to vibrate here. I want to welcome you. We do this on occasion. It's not scheduled. It's not a regular event. It has to fit in with my home life as well as my working travel life. And this is my personal sewing time. So it's not really a certain pattern that I am showing you how to make. We're just spending the time together. So you are welcome to work along on whatever project you want to pull out of your must-do box and get those going. We're closing in on Christmas here. You might have some things to finish up. So maybe you'll just press some fabric and cut some pieces. Or maybe you'll put some blocks together, or maybe you'll put that binding on it, or a label, or whatever it is. We're going to be here for an hour or a little bit more, just working together, sewing together, and I'll be answering your questions. If you are watching on the blog, you can leave a comment in the blog post, and I can answer that. If you have a picture to share, you'll need to send that to my email address. My email address is quiltville@gmail.com. If you are watching on YouTube or Google+, where this is also playing live, I won't be able to read your comments unless you send them to my email as well. If you're on Facebook or Instagram, I can't answer there. I just can only get to email, and that's because the computer is quite a ways away from me. I can't really reach the keyboard from where I'm sitting, and I use my phone to stay in contact. And it looks like We've got quite a few things coming in already today. Let's see what this is. It was a jingle message. Well, I got a coupon for Joanne, 60% off. That's good. And here's my friend Mary Coble, who says, we're here at Mary's retreat listening to Bonnie live on Quilt-Cam. And she sent a photo. If any of you were on Google Plus and you got 2 notices, one back-to-back of Quilt-Cam, we are actually on the second one. The first one didn't go through. When I clicked the link, it didn't go to where I could get to actually set up the video, so I had to start it again. Here she is with all of the girls. I know that room. They're in the upstairs room at Mary Koval's, and they're, she's got wavy Lay's potato chips too. So here's the gang at Mary Koval's quilt shop, and they're watching along with Quilt-Cam. Hi girls, glad to see you. And in the inbox today, what have we got going on here? I had a major, well, it wasn't major, but what felt like almost a computer crash this morning. You know, that moment when the computer's slowing down, so you decide to reboot it, and then it won't reboot. And I was all in a panic. And this is while I was trying to get ready for Quilt-Cam. So I called my hubby down, please fix my computer. And in the meantime, I'm using my laptop to write the little blog post to embed the Quilt-Cam into. Here is, come on now. This one is from Suzanne, or Susan Crane. Susan, hi. She says, sewing up 224 of these hourglass units for my Orca Bay quilt today on my tan 1961 featherweight. Looking forward to seeing you in Columbia tomorrow and the next day for some talk in Turkey. I am headed down to Columbia, South Carolina tomorrow. I'm going to leave here around noon, I think. But there's her lovely little tan featherweight. I can make that a little bit bigger in her email. We can do that. Sometimes it biggie sizes and sometimes it doesn't. And that's why I have this big screen phone, so we can make it work. But that's her tan featherweight. So I'll be in Columbia, South Carolina with the Logan Lap Quilters tomorrow evening for a lecture. The lecture starts at 7:30, and this is what I crack up because I get this notice. Our lecture starts at 7:30, but we can't get in the building until 7. Oh, honey. Oh, honey, it takes me at least 45 minutes to set up. And if people are trying to buy from my book table while I'm trying to set up quilts, it may take longer. So that lecture may not start until 7:45, but we'll see. But we'll see. So I'm going to get this going on here. You know, we're not just Mary Poppins. We just don't go in and open our bag and out comes everything already set up. When there's 100 pounds of quilts to arrange and backdrops to hang and a book table to set out, it's going to take more than a half an hour. All right. So I have this little fabric here. Looks like it's got shoes and gloves on it. I have no idea where this came from, but it's big enough to go right across this page. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, before I start sewing, I was doing some other sewing this morning. So there's a little adjustment I need to make. Anytime you're sewing on a paper foundation, I need you to put your stitch length down. If you're sewing with a regular stitch length, sure, it goes faster, but then the holes are farther apart and you have to tear the paper between the holes and the paper's harder to remove. So shorten that stitch length to about between a 1.5 and a 2. How do you know where it needs to go? If your paper's falling off, then your stitch is too small. If the paper's hard to remove, the stitch is too big. So you're going to have to work with the size of your needle and the thickness of your thread and all that kind of the heaviness of your paper. All that comes into play. So a few test runs will let you know. I'm sewing today on a 1967 Wizard Citation. It was made by Brother, and I just love this machine. Okay, I'm going to leave this one right here and grab my second page. I like to work on 2 units, and some of you I know are lip syncing right along with me because every time I do this, I reiterate, try to keep that piecing as continuous as possible. You don't want long thread tails. I'd rather have the thread in the fabric than in my trash can. And working on 2 units at a time keeps me making progress on the 2 units I'm working on. It's easier than a chain of 87. And then when one page is full, I set it aside and pick up another one and throw that into the mix. Just 2 in a chain. My favorite way to piece is just 2 in a chain when it comes to putting units and stuff like this together. Okay, so what have I got here? Whites and creams and beiges and tans. Some prints. This is my darkest one, and it doesn't go any darker than that brown paper bag that I like to refer to. This was a floral that was quite wide spread scattered, and I really didn't like it as a whole piece of fabric, so I ran it through my rotary cutter and just cut it into narrow strips. Now you can't hardly see the floral that's on it at all, but it does show a few little pops of color here and there. I like that. I've got some little stripes with little ditzy print. I've got some almost tone-on-tone oatmeal colored kind of solids. All kinds of stuff going in here. I like to use some narrow, some wider, some lighter, some darker, some small prints, some big prints, some stripes, and some novelties. Just throw it all in there. Now this might be one that's not big enough to go across, and it's not, but I think what I'm going to do, it's pretty wide. I'm going to just use my scissors, and this is a scissors job for me. Once I get to this point, what I will do is add, what do I have in my little pile over here? Okay, this will work. If I sew this short piece to this short piece, then I can use it as a one long piece in the next seam. So I just kind of run these in between the ones that I'm working on, and then find something else that'll go the distance here. This one will. We'll sew it right there. Just long enough. I had a great time in Peru, but I have longed for some sewing machine time. Now I'm just aiming for somewhat of a 1/4 inch seam allowance. You're sewing over paper, so your 1/4 inch foot, if it does not have a guide on it, will give you a good guide. If you have a guide on your foot, it may like to drag on the paper. So just switch to any open-toed foot. We'll get that little leader ender off of there. And then you just aim and shoot for 1/4 inch. Sometimes it's a little wider, sometimes it's a little narrower. It doesn't matter as long as we're covering the paper. And I do have my iron hot over here to work. So I've got quite a few things that are busy on here. Here's that one piece of that floral fabric. I probably want something that's more tone on tone and maybe a lighter color for down here, because I've got a lot of that cream stuff going on. So what do I got in this pile? I may need to dig in my bag of magic tricks here. Oh boy, here's one, white with black ants. And I think I'll put that on the other side. So you can decide which side of your paper you want to work on. It just depends on what I pick up and where it looks the best. So I do kind of pick and choose where I'm going to sew something. I work from the center out on the page, and that gives me two options. I can go either side. And when I reach the end of the second one, we just snip the first one off from behind and press it over. I heard another jingle on my phone. We'll have to see what's coming in. And I don't know if you can hear the music in the background, but one of the things I bought as a souvenir in Peru was some Peruvian music on CD. And I am playing that right now, and I really like it. It's kind of fun. So this is a novelty piece. It's got, looks like a giraffe and some monkeys and some palm trees and a moon, and it says sleep, dream, hugs from flutterbugs. So it's just kind of a juvenile novelty, and I'll stick that in here. So I've just pre-cut, maybe about a ½ inch bigger than my paper, so in case anything shifts, I'm still big enough to cover. As I'm sewing, I don't think you can see from here, I'll move that out of the way. I like to keep my fingers on the underneath strip, right where the seam bump is. I want to keep the underneath seam or strip from scooting back and leaving a hump or a bubble. So I use my fingers to make sure that everything is laying flat underneath that top strip. And there's our little ants. Let's press those out. So you can see how quickly we make progress by working just on 2 units at a time and letting them chase each other's tails. It keeps that progress moving so that we feel like we're really making a lot of progress there. Alrighty, so into the email box we go. Let's see who's with us today. This is Felicia from the Netherlands, who sent a picture of her moth in the window. Hello, Felicia. She says, I'm doing your course on Craft University, and have made 45 blocks of Moth in the Window from recycled fabric and scraps dating to the 1960s. I made the mistake of moving my seam guide to get out of the dust from the machine, and as a result, more than half the blocks are a 1/16 to a 1/4 inch smaller than they should. How would you proceed? The picture is auditioning background and cornerstone fabrics. What you can do, and what comes to my mind automatically is, I mean, if it's a 1/16 of an inch, I will ease it. A 1/16 is neither here nor there. I just kind of center it to the sashing, and then I'm just like 1/32 off on either side, and I can fudge that. If it's a 1/4 inch off, then I start getting into trouble. So what you can do at this point, if you wanted to frame all of the blocks with a strip of some sort, and then square them all to uniform size, it won't matter if some of those strips are a tiny bit narrower or a tiny bit wider than others, because then you're going to sash them with the cornerstone. So you would frame the blocks, trim them to size, and then set them with sashing. Your sashing may need to be cut a different width, of course, if you do that. But if you leave enough of a frame around each block, it will really be unnoticeable. So give that a try. I want to share your picture with everybody. That is just really beautiful. I really like it on the blue. So this is Moth in the Window. It's from my online Craft Online University workshop that is still in progress right now. You can still sign up for that. This segment officially ends here in a few weeks, but the videos are online for another month. So you can still sign up and do that. Or if you wanted to hold your horses, I was told that it's been such a success, we're going to offer it 3 more times during the next year. So you can just stay in touch with me, watch on the blog, and I'll give you the dates of when that's going to air again, and you can start the course from the beginning. There's 6 online workshops that you can do, and Moth in the Window is one of them. So that's what I would do with that, is probably frame all of the blocks with contrasting fabric. So each block gets a different contrasting fabric. I think that'll keep with the busyness. And then square them all up and then set them with sashings and cornerstones. You haven't cut your background fabric yet, so you're still pretty good there. That's what I would do. Okay, so we also have Suzanne who says Quilt-Cam. Suzanne in Inglewood, Colorado. Love Quilt-Cam. Thank you. Well, thank you for joining me on a Sunday afternoon. She says, today I'm using my Singer 404 and working on assembling string hexagons. The sashing is finishing at 1 inch. To the left of the hexes is my 2-inch leader and ender tumblers. And she's got a great photo here. Look at these little stringy hexagons. Love that black and how it sets up all of the colors around there. And her tumblers are going on in the background. So how are your tumblers coming? Mine are slow. I have not been here to work on them, but you can bet through the entire month of December, I'm going to be hitting the machine really hard and heavy, hopefully with some cabin time. And I'm planning on building more and more leaders and enders. I do have them cut right here where I'm working, but since I'm doing the string piecing and each page is a leader ender for the next page, I don't feel the need to throw my tumblers in. But I love them and I love how they're coming. Remember, we have the whole year to work on this project, and it's not a race. It'll go all the way until next July, and you can even continue it after that if you want to. The directions for the free directions for doing the tumblers in 3 different sizes are found underneath the free patterns tab at the top of my blog. And again, the blog is quiltville.blogspot.com. Every year we put out a new tumbler challenge, and I love to see, or a new leader ender challenge, and I love to see what folks come up with. That's gorgeous. I just love that. Thank you for sharing. So this one's from, wow, we got lots of stuff all the way down here. I'm going to go over here. Steven says, hello again. Nice to hear you chatting again. A nice note of normality in this difficult weekend. It's been a very difficult weekend. In case somebody watches this 6 months from now. This was the week that Paris, France, was attacked with many people being killed in a theater and bombings and shootings all over the city. It was a very, very dark day yesterday. We'll be remembering that in the months to come. So please keep your thoughts and prayers for the people of Paris. And while I say that, And I don't want to tick anybody off, but are thoughts and prayers enough? Or do we need to be actively engaged in doing something other than just thinking that prayers are enough? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do from here. And it's a nice thing to say, oh, my prayers are with you. But when are we going to get our hands dirty? I don't know what to do. I'm a almost 54-year-old woman. What can I do to help the situation to make this world a better place for children to come? And is there a safe place anymore? I don't know. So, but we don't want to get going on that. This is just for in case anybody, maybe 6 months from now, we'll have really good news and have made some progress on this. But my thoughts and prayers and wishes and hopes and dreams, and my heart is just breaking for those in France who lost loved ones this week. Okay. And so again, Stephen says, have been tracking down my Paris friends all weekend. 4 are fine, although one spent Friday night locked in a restaurant, but one I still haven't heard from. All quiet in London, thanks goodness. Looking forward to the mystery. Can you believe I haven't even tweaked your colors this year? Yes! It's a good year when Stephen likes my colors. That's awesome. Awesome. So are you going to participate with this year's Aliatare mystery? The information is found under the Aliatare mystery tab at the top of the blog, quiltville.blogspot.com, and our first clue goes live the day after Thanksgiving. That's coming up a week from this coming Thursday. So pretty quick here, pretty quick here. Ted and Deanna says, Quilt-Cam. So happy you're doing Quilt-Cam today. I'm having a lazy day, relaxing a bit and doing some binding stitching while I listen and watch. That sounds just perfect. I love it. She says, have picked out some fabric for the mystery, but haven't done my final choices as yet. Looking forward to the first clue in a few weeks. Honey, it's a week from Thursday. So it's a little sooner, or a week from Friday. Sorry, a week from this coming Friday. So get on to it. Get on to it. Welcome home. It seems so long since last Quilt-Cam. It does, but it seems like just yesterday for me because every day has been go, 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 go. There just has not been time. But I'm hoping through the month of December, we'll be able to make up for that with a couple extra Quilt-Cams in the month of December. She says, I know how much you liked curved piecing knot, but I have been putting these blocks together for my daughter. They're from So Kind of Wonderful pattern and ruler set. She chose the colored fabric, not my favorite, but I do like how it looks with the newspaper print fabric. And this is her photo. She's from Trout Creek, Ontario, Canada. These blocks are from Deanna. So let's see if I turn this sideways. Will it work? I've seen these rulers. Nope, it needs to be shown this way. I've seen these rulers before. I'm just not, I tell you, my one experience with curved piecing was doing a double wedding ring with templates before rotary cutters were invented. And curved piecing, oh! So I just haven't drank that Kool-Aid yet, but there's some quilts I would love to do. These are absolutely beautiful. I also love that new, whoops, get light back on there. Love that newspaper print fabric that she's used as the background. I've got some texty prints in here also. So here's one piece right there. Anything with words on it, just super fun. One more and then I want to sew. Okay. Laura Austin says, so happy, S-E-W, happy for Quilt-Cam. This is what I'm working on today, hexies and string piecing. Oh, how fun. That's gorgeous. Okay, so the snowflake applique is made with English paper pieced hexagons. And I am assuming she's appliqued that on top of the string pieced stocking. But isn't that adorable? I'm saving this photo just so you know. It's really a great idea. Love those snowflakes. Beautiful. Yep, I really, really, really like those. Seeing how that all comes together. Nice. Okay, and I lied. We'll do one more. Teresa says, welcome home. Thank you so much. It's good to see you home again. It sure looked like you had a wonderful time. I did. And there's still so many chapters to be revealed on the blog of what we did on our trip. It was unbelievable. Here's the picture of my latest finish for a nephew who is, no doubt, an Ottawa Senators fan. I made a quilt for each niece and nephew when they go off to college. This is the latest, 7 down, 3 to go. Then I'll have a couple of years before the next generation starts. And I love what she did with the center there. There's the Ottawa Senators right there, and that flaming orange and black all the way around the outside. Isn't that great? Wonderful. I'm sure he's going to love it. Okay. I'm going to set this down a minute, wet my whistle. It's nice to be back home to my own beverages. You know what they drink a lot in Peru? Something called Inca Cola. And it tastes exactly like a fizzy melted banana popsicle. It's very sweet, very syrupy, and it's made by the Coca-Cola company. Why they don't sell it up here, I don't know, but that's okay. It actually wasn't bad, but the calorie count was amazing. Okay, so we're going to sew something on here that needs to be kind of plain and not too skinny. And so I dig in my bag and find a piece that is too short. Here we go. How about a stripe? That'll work. This looks like it was from a collar of a shirt. And we'll just sew that right on there. I like to think of my string bags as stone soup. Remember that whole story about stone soup? And somebody brought this, and somebody brought this, and somebody brought this, and somebody brought this, and by the end of the evening they had a really great soup because there was so much variety in it. Well, these string buckets, they're like my mulch buckets. I just keep throwing things in there, and as long as it's within that color family, it just goes in there, and I love the variety. All righty. So there's that little novelty fabric on here. So I'm looking at this one. It needs something busy next to it because it's very plain. It's got just a few little bits of flowers and leaves sticking out. And so it needs something with a little punch. So maybe that text one? Nope. I think it needs, yep, it needs the Steelers fabric. With this kind of thing, you can sew sports fabric right next to a floral. It's okay. You can do it. It's hard to believe that here in the States, our Thanksgiving is just a little bit more than a week away. And my week this week is going to be crazy, crazy because I leave tomorrow for Columbia and I teach a lecture tomorrow night, workshop Tuesday, drive home Tuesday night. Wednesday I have home. Thursday I go to Raleigh to do a lecture and 2 workshops in Raleigh. I come home the Sunday. Actually, I think I'm going to try to come home Saturday. It's only a 2.5-hour drive. I may do that. My dad comes in on Monday from Arizona. And then we go up to the cabin on Monday. Tuesday, my girlfriend Irene and her hubby are coming from Kentucky. They just moved to Kentucky. They have no family there. There's nobody for Thanksgiving there. So I invited them to the cabin as well. That's Tuesday. So we have Wednesday and Thursday for Thanksgiving. The mystery goes live on Friday. Okay, and then my dad goes back to the airport on Saturday. It's just bam, 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 bam. So this any time that I can get to sew is worth it. Okay, so now that little stripe I think is a little bit wide and it doesn't quite cover. So the next piece I put down, I'm going to shift so that it's a little bit further to the inside, sew it and trim the excess. And I think that, yeah, that'll work now. The text with the other piece will go right on here. And it needs to be that long. And this end that I'm trimming off can be joined to something else to make a piece that's long enough. Okay. One thing I thought was really funny, as I'm in Peru and posting pictures of the colors of Peru and things that we see, people are going, oh, next year's mystery colors. I don't want to hear it right now. I haven't finished this year's mystery. I'm running a little bit behind, but it will be done by the reveal. It will be done by the reveal, but I honestly am not thinking of next year's mystery right now. I just can't. There's enough on the plate. We can deal with next year's mystery by next summer. I've still got several trips coming up. I will be on an Alaska cruise in July. I'll be on a Mediterranean cruise where I'll be seeing Spain, Croatia, the Amalfi Coast, all the way around Italy to Provence, France in August. So the next year's mystery could absolutely be anything, and to try to even think about that right now is crazy making. So anybody who says, is this next year's mystery colors, is going to get a big ignore from me. No, the answer is no. Not right now. But I sure love the colors for this year's mystery. I was working on it just a little bit this morning as I had some time, and I just love, oh, that's too short. I keep looking in that same pile. But I just love how it's coming together. Okay, here's a little floral piece that's just big enough, and it'll go on the other side of the Steelers. So here's a funny thing. I'm getting notifications all over the place that people's local Lowe's is out of the paint chips that we recommend. Now, of course, we knew that would happen. But here's the deal. If you've got the picture of my paint chips on your computer, just print it out. Your colors don't have to match mine exactly. But as long as you have something to hold up to your stash so that you can see that, okay, no, that red is too orange. This neutral is too dark against this gray, this whatever, this gold is too whatever, brown, then that's what you need them for. So as long as your fabrics look good together, you're just fine. You don't actually have to physically have the cards in your hand in order to pull your fabrics, as long as you have something as a guideline, because I want you to be able to see the contrast in these blocks when they come together. I've never been happy with a mystery that said choose one focal fabric and then pick 3 colors out of it and a background. That never works, because nobody's telling you that this is going to end up next to this, and you need to be able to see the 2 of these side by side together. And I do give you that. I tell you in the instructions, when you're choosing your gold, make sure that your gray is visible upon it. When you're choosing your neutrals, make sure that your gold can be seen well to your neutrals. So like if you were using this as a neutral, this is not going to work up next to your gold. It's already too gold. So I try to give those guidelines. But don't worry if your Lowe's is out of paint chips. You can also look up those cards online. And as long as you have something to keep you within the color families so that we still have visibility when we put fabrics together, you'll be okay. Now, I have to tell you something else that happened. I have had a run on rulers since we let out the yardage requirements and letting people know that they're going to need the companion angle and the easy angle to do this year's mystery. I ordered several times over the past couple of weeks from my supplier to make sure I had rulers in stock. Well, on the last order, I ordered 60 rulers. They sent me 30. The other 30 are back ordered. I go to their website. It says out of stock. So now not only have we got Lowe's out of stock of paint chips, but I have completely run my supplier out of companion angle rulers. So if you are ordering on the website and it says 0 are in stock, that means that you will also be back ordered. And I will be sending orders as soon as rulers are back in stock. So if you have not ordered a ruler from me yet, you might want to check with your other online sources or your local Joann's with your coupon or whatever it is. I have easy angles in 2 sizes. I am out of the companion angle ruler, and I have no idea of knowing when they'll be back in stock. So I would hate for you not to be able to start your mystery because my supplier was out, because we sold them out. It's a good thing. It's a bad thing. So we're just going to have to work with it. And just know this, that if you place an order on my website for multiple items and one of those items is back ordered, I will hold your entire order until that item is back in stock to ship. I cannot split ship your order. Okay, it's double the postage if I do that, and I would have to charge you additional postage for that to happen. So just kind of funny, behind the scenes, rulers are a hot item. Who knew? I thought everybody had them already, but evidently not. Okay. I'm going to sew on one more strip, and then we're going to check for some messages here. What have I not used in this yet? So that's what I'm asking myself. Yes, I have a stack of pieces here, but I don't like to duplicate the pieces within a page. However, I don't mind having a piece in this page or in that page or in that page, and I like to use the pieces till they're gone. This one doesn't have that spotted floral in it yet, so here's a good time for me. Do you see how far these flowers are apart? This was never going to cut up good. So we're going to stick that on there. Other things about the mystery, those of you who haven't done it with me before, I am not giving out the exact number of clues. Each mystery is different. Some mysteries need fewer clues, some need more, and rather than somebody with a giant clue they can't finish in a week, we may have fewer or more steps along the way. Also, something that I just discovered today, did you realize that Christmas is on Friday? And I'm not going to release a clue. The clue will come one day later on Boxing Day, on the 26th of December. So we'll give everybody Christmas off, but be looking for a clue on Boxing Day. And other than that, it's over when it's over, when I say so. I'm really excited about this year's design. I think it's going to stump everybody. Okay, so here's our Pittsburgh Steelers sandwiched in between two different florals. It works. It's going to be fun. All right, let's check in and see who's emailing here. Okay, go all the way. Die Quilt says, oops, nope, that's not the one. That was for a lecture that I'm doing later. I'm doing star on that. Jody Moriarty says, hello from Jody in Indianapolis. During my fall break, I started and completed one of your free patterns, Orange Crush. My 10-year-old son has already claimed it as his. He loves the bright colors. Thanks for all you do for us. And that is just one beautiful Orange Crush. Isn't that great? That one's a keeper. I got to save that one. That's super. I'm sure he loves it. Okay. This one came from a phone number. It has no, is there text to it? When they email from a phone number, oof. Okay, this is what I did with tumblers. I guess you call them chair toppers. And this is from Ida in Missouri, who sent this from her phone number. And she's used her tumbler as a little chair topper there for a headrest. That's really cute. You know, a tumbler quilt leader ender project doesn't have to be a big quilt. You can make placemats, a table runner, a wall hanging, a baby quilt, or chair toppers. Very nice. Okay, Kathy says, Quilt-Cam, welcome home. I'm happy to join you from Southern Indiana, where here's what I'm working on while watching Quilt-Cam. Ooh, pretty, pretty, pretty. So she's got some gorgeous gradations going here, golds, blues, browns, and teals. And she's sewing strips together to make these units. Really nice. I'd like to see what you're going to do with those. Is it going to be a star? That's gorgeous. Okay, here's another one from another phone number. Diane in Woonsocket, Rhode Island says, rather than quilting, I'm recycling old sweaters into fleece-lined mittens for Christmas. Ooh, I have some of those. Those are so comfy. She says, using my Singer 301A for the assembly, and she sent along a picture of the mittens that she's made from old sweaters. I think that is the greatest, greatest use of old sweaters ever. Those mittens are so warm and toasty. I love them. Beautiful job. That's going to be a lovely gift. I know you can find the pattern for doing those on Pinterest. I've seen it. So if you're interested in using sweaters to make mittens for Christmas, Pinterest. Carolyn Sands says, inspired by an antique quilt. Ooh, nice. This quilt was inspired by a photo of an antique quilt you showed on your blog earlier this summer. I had been collecting smaller floral prints, unsure what I was going to make with them. Saw this photo and that was all it took. Isn't that the way it goes? I grabbed my graph paper and colored pencils and figured it out. I'm working on some half block units to finish off this quilt. And this is from Carolyn Sands, and she's in Lake Jackson, Texas. And here's her, looks like a triple, quintuple, quadruple Irish chain with the red accents. Isn't that just lovely? What a great way to use those florals. They just kind of watercolor together, but that red just really makes it striking. Beautiful job. And you have to love her resourcefulness of just getting out the graph paper. Best invention ever. Okay. So here's from Sarah, who's asking for some helpful hints. She says, need helpful hints. She's, doesn't say where she is. She calls herself Sally. She says, thanks for posting all the travel pictures. Glad you linked up with your luggage. Absolutely. If you didn't hear, when I arrived in Miami, you know, the first time using my global entry so that I could just go to the machine, put down my fingerprints, and away I go. And then I end up at the luggage machine, you know, the carousel, and it hasn't even turned on yet. And I'm waiting and waiting and waiting for luggage. Okay, here comes luggage. All of my people who went the long way through customs pick up their luggage and off they go. And pretty soon I'm still standing there at that carousel, and the carousel is going around and around and around with no luggage on it. And then they turn it off and I know I'm in trouble. So my luggage, turns out, was stuck in Lima, Peru. We flew from Cusco to Lima, Lima to Miami. My luggage never left Lima due to a baggage inspection. I had a close connection, and it caught up with me a couple days later. So it's okay, but that's the story of that. And she says, I'm not sure what she says, I have difficulty keeping myself on task while long arm quilting. Not sure what my issue is. You have squirrel disease. You have squirrel disease. What you need to do is set a timer for yourself and then reward yourself with a little excursion. She says, I will do a row of pantograph and then find excuses to take me away from the machine. Any helpful hints to keep me quilting other than attaching an anchor to my ankle? Thanks for all you do, Sally. Music helps me. When I was long arming for the public, audiobooks with earbuds. I absolutely love listening to audiobooks, and I would you have to force yourself. And it's like, okay, I'm going to stand here for an hour. And maybe I can do 3.5 passes in an hour, and then I'll tell myself, okay, I need to finish this pass, and then I can take a 45-minute break. But set the timer for that, and then get back at it. Really, it's, you have to make a list of everything that you need to do, have to do, and you have to fit those into your quilting time because there are other things that have to happen during the day, but yet you have to force yourself. Reward yourself. If you finish that quilt, you make that goal to finish that quilt today. If you finish it, reward yourself. If you didn't finish it, it needs to be the first thing you do the next morning, and then try to reevaluate. And maybe some of our readers out there have other ways that they reward themselves or can keep themselves on task with doing different things. The other question I have is the urgency of this product, because deadlines keep me motivated. I can't stand deadlines, and I will always try to beat a deadline. So you need to give yourself a deadline for this project. Are you quilting for other people, or are you quilting for yourself? Because then maybe it's not that high on your priority list. So those are some questions I have, but if any of our readers have ways that they keep themselves on task to accomplish big projects, please drop me an email at quiltville@gmail.com, and I will read those out so that Sally has some ideas and some support to get this quilt finished. Okay, and here's Mary Lucas says, Starstruck and Quilt-Cam. She says, trimming blocks for this quilt for my niece today. Hello, everyone, and this is from Mary in Buffalo, where she's got 6 blocks on her design board. Looking good. Love those colors. They remind me of Peru. Those are beautiful. Gorgeous. She's going to love that. That black background with the neon on it, that's really, really pretty. Okay. Britt says Quilt-Cam live from Norway. So hello, Britt in Norway. So glad to have you here. She says, finally, I managed to catch you live. Currently finishing my version of your Celtic solstice. Slightly different color scheme than yours, but still a great pattern. I have even managed to get a couple of points to meet. Good job. Good job. Happy sewing from Britt in Taninger, Norway. And here's her colors and her blocks. See if it worked better this way. Yeah, I think she's got 4 blocks together there for you to see. Isn't that beautiful? She's working on Celtic solstice. For those of you who didn't do Celtic solstice, you'll find it as a digital download underneath the digital download section of my website at quiltville.com. Okay, one more. I need to sew. How much sewing did you get done in an hour of Quilt-Cam 02? Nancy Nielsen says, it's nice to be sewing with you again. I'm hand stitching binding on a Guild community quilt. 3 friends and I are excited about going on your Alaska cruise with you next July. Yes, I can't wait to see you girls. That's going to be wonderful. So excited. She says, I'm looking forward to doing your new mystery quilt with prison inmates in a sewing program where a friend and I volunteer. Now that's a worthwhile project. That's wonderful. I think they will have great fun with the mystery. I'm going to encourage some of them to do your color choices and others to choose different colors so they can see how different a quilt can look with different color choices. All of the quilts they make will be donated to charity. And she's from Whidbey Island, Washington. And I think this is the neatest thing I have ever heard. I mean, there is healing, there is learning, there's self-esteem building when we tackle a project like this. You know, we do a job, we work hard at it, we see that we can accomplish something, we feel better about ourselves, therefore we treat others better. It's just good all the way around. We have to constantly do things and that make us feel better about ourselves. And I can't imagine anybody that feels lower about themselves than people in a situation like that. And this is a way for them to sew themselves right out of the problems that they found themselves in and make better choices. And to do it for charity is wonderful. So what you can't see is on my side, my screen has gone a bit dark and I need to make sure that my computer is still plugged in. So I need to get a little closer here. Okay, there. My plug was not quite in the laptop, and the last thing I want is for that battery to go dead while we are live on Quilt-Cam. So I'm going to add a couple more pieces here. And I'm asking myself, what have I not used yet, and what can I get by with? Now, see, this is a green piece that should not even be in this bucket. I've got a small little floral, so I'm looking for something. Okay, how about a tiny little solid yellow? Will I use yellow in neutrals? Absolutely, as long as it is a baby pastel. It can't cross to medium, because once it hits medium, I'm going to kick it into the color bucket. But this is so barely yellow that I think it'll add a nice little solid touch in between these other busy prints. Again, I'm keeping my fingers on the seam for the underneath strip, making sure that it doesn't scoot backwards. I want to keep that nice and flat, and I just kind of work my fingers up the seam. I do a lot of directing on the left side of my presser foot. I keep my fingers far enough away, can you see that there? But my hand is always to the left of the presser foot because I can't just control from out here. I need more control. So to the left of the presser foot is a real guiding spot for me. And I just kind of keep my fingers curved and a little bit of pressure there just keeps things moving through. Okay. So this one has gone as far as it will go, and I will square up the edges and then cut my 2 border widths across the page. So I'm just going to set that aside. Now, I usually use just phone book paper. This was from a rather large phone book. If you can find large phone books, snatch them up, because phone books are getting really small these days, and sometimes we need bigger paper. Now, I had a computer printer jam earlier this week, and I don't know if you can see here. Do you see how this paper got ripped? Several pages are crumpled. Well, that one's not too bad. But once I get to there, okay. Maybe these three are okay still. But there's several pages that are ripped on the edge, and I can't use those for invoices, and I can't run them through the printer because they'll get jammed again. So can I use these regular printer paper? Yes, you can. The paper's a little tougher to remove, but just make sure that your stitch length is down. And you'll have to do a test to see what stitch length that you need so that the paper comes off easy enough. But I have no problem stitching through regular printer paper. I'll take this dumb floral that I want to be gone. And we do the same thing. I start down the center. Well, here's another piece. This piece has two pieces in it. There's a kind of a pinkish floral, and then that little beige thing. These were two pieces that were too short to be used singularly. I'm actually going to lay that one down on the page first so I don't have to double back the seam allowance against anything. All right. And it's just the same. The printer paper may be a little bit tougher to remove, but I don't want to just put this paper in the trash. Sometimes when a piece of paper, oops, I've caught a thread. You print out something and you've got a second page with one line of print at the top. I'll use that again. All right, there's a little yellow one. And I think one more piece, and this one should be covered if I find something that's wide enough. Wide enough, long enough, dig in the bin. What do I have here? It's kind of a muslin solid, that'll work. So yes, I mix solids in, even muslin, in with my neutrals. Now that little yellow was very narrow, so it's just going to have a little tiny little bit of yellow peeking out there. Okay, so you can see we have one purple blossom in the center. It just was a fabric I was not happy with. No matter how I cut it, it just looked crazy. So we just stripped it down, and this is just perfect for it. Okay, that'll work. One more here. So how many pieces do I need? I'm not sure yet. I get a good start on it, cut up what I have done, trim and strip, and then I'll add them. I'll join these end to end to end to end to end and see how long it is, and then I can measure how much more I need to complete the quilt. If I measured from the beginning to tell myself how many inches of this I needed, it would be too overwhelming. So I just get started, and then when I'm most of the way done, then I measure, and then it doesn't seem like I have so much further to go. So just get in there and start sewing. These pages are a little bit longer, so if I end up with some extra, what I will do is I'll cut some 1.5-inch strips. I have another plan to use those as sashings on something else. The string piecing just keeps on giving. Pulling some strings out of here. They like to get in the seams, just these little threads. Okay, so here's this one. Now I can set this one aside. We've done 2, and they were half done before we even started, and we've been at this for an hour. Let's find something long enough and lay it down the page. Maybe iron it first. Somebody asked me earlier, you know, how do you keep your strings nice and neat? You can't. You can't. But it only takes a second to run an iron over it to straighten it back out again. The strings are all different widths, all different prints, all different kinds of stuff. So here's a short piece. I have a short section over there. How about a black and white polka dot? It just needs an iron press. This one that was sewn to something before and then unsewn it, so it has a little seam allowance fold over. Okay. Little black and white polka dot's cute. We'll stick that on there. Down the center. Yep, phone's still vibrating. There's still messages coming in. I have used leftover flyers for string piecing, catalog pages, anything. It just adds some stability so that it keeps these pieces from stretching and being really, really wobbly. Okay, so let's see who's pinging. Let's start at the top, all the way to the top. Annika says, string piecing trouble. Well, let's see if we can help her out. She said, you sure look like you had a wonderful time in Peru. What do you recommend? I am making a scrappy string quilt and have trouble after the removal of the paper. The units are sewed into a block and go to iron it. Okay. They won't lay flat. It is bubbly in the center. Did you? So she's got pictures here of her blocks. And I know what the problem is. Did you remove the paper from your string pieced units before you sewed your block together? I don't like to leave the papers, for instance, if you can tell. Come on. Okay, so she's got string blocks in the corners of her stars there. And so those are going to be biased all along the outside edge. Whoops, turned off. Okay. I lost it. Okay. When I piece my string blocks, I trim them up. And you can use a little bit of best press or spray starch to help stabilize those. Once they're trimmed, I remove the paper. I don't want the paper in the blocks when I sew them to each other, because then I have to pick paper out of the seam allowance, and then that's more handling of the block. It's trying to pull paper out of something that's already sewn to something else is not my favorite thing to do. I can't, let me see if I can biggie size this enough to see. She says they're bubbling in the center. You know, they don't look that bad to me. But her problem is when the units are sewed into a block and go to iron it, it won't lay flat. It's bubbly in the center. I'd say that's one of those things that's going to quilt out. You know, string piecing is a utility quilting by nature. It's bulky. It has lots of weight because of all the seams. You have a lot of points joining together in corners. But this is one of those things where I think when you quilt it, it's going to quilt out. But also try removing your paper before you sew your units together. Okay. Other than being there and actually seeing it in person, I don't know what else to tell you about that one. But they are beautiful, and I love it. Okay, so here's, gosh, we got so many questions here. Oh my goodness sake. So here's one from Irene who says, Quilt-Cam, working on final borders on garden party while watching. Tuesday we head to San Antonio to see Teresa and her family, so I'll be able to get it on the long arm. Hooray! Can't wait to show it off in Plano for New Year. So she's used an orange for her setting blocks. If I biggie size this, can you see? Just a little bit better. what she's doing there. This was the garden party quilt that we did on our cruise in October. So, and she also worked on it last New Year's at Plano. So she'll be able to bring it as a completed quilt. You can find the pattern for Garden Party in the May-June 2015 issue of Quiltmaker magazine. It's also going to have a special place in my next book coming up that will be released next fall. I just did some more edits on my manuscript. Manuscript's going back and forth between my editor and myself right now before we get as much tackled as we can before the final package date where it goes off to the editorial team at C&T on December 1st. So we're trying to have it as nicely done, as clean as possible. And that's one of the quilts that's going to be in that book. So I'm really excited for that. Beautiful job, Irene. I love it. Kathy Jennings says, my first Quilt-Cam. So I have to tune in and say hello to Kathy back. She says, hope you get this. So excited for my first Quilt-Cam. I'm fairly new to your Facebook group and I'm learning tons. I'm currently working on my first grandmother's flower garden for my granddaughter. And she's, oh wow, she's really busy going to town on this. Here's a photo of her stacked up hexie rosettes right there. What are you going to set them together with? Have you thought about that yet? I never make my decisions too soon. Don't commit to anything until you've tried different things. These colors are just wonderful. I love seeing that. Thanks for joining in and sharing with us, Kathy. Liz says, Quilt-Cam and welcome back. Thanks for having Quilt-Cam this afternoon. I'm binding a quilt that I started in 2002. That's okay. It's only 13 years. 2002 doesn't seem like that long ago, does it? It's only 13 years. With the help of my 15-year-old cat, Flossie. I'm so glad to have finally gotten it quilted so I can sleep under it this winter. My fabrics are all ready for Aliatare to begin a week from Friday. Where has this year gone? And this is Liz in Kentucky. Oh, what a sweetie. I love the back of kitty heads. You see the little kitty heads, those ears just beg to be scratched. And there's the quilt that she's binding right now, red on red. Beautiful. Beautiful. Love to see it. Okay, here's one from Esther who says, thanks from Europe. Greetings from northern Finland. So we've got Finland and Norway with us today. She says, I'm so excited to be able to watch you live again. It is 9 o'clock in the evening and I'm working on finishing my Christmas crafts. Right now, the Christmas dresses for the girls. I want to be done with them in time before the mystery and the table clean to start sewing on Aliatare. That's true, and that's here. You know, we want Thanksgiving dinner done and over with and company out the door so that we can start sewing on the mystery quilt. And this is my favorite time of the year. I just love it. I stress about it, but I love it. So glad you could join in with us, Esther. Becky Klein says, Quilt-Cam. Your phone book pages are a lot bigger than mine. I live in a small town, so pages are about 6 by 8. Working on quilting on an ABC quilt from Block of the Month from the Quilt Show, and that's Becky. Yeah, that's why when you can go someplace and they have bigger phone books, or if you have friends who live in big cities where there are bigger phone books, have them save you one, because a phone book will last you forever. Now, I was reading one of the post that was made on our open studio group just a day or so ago. And a gal took her phone book to FedEx or Office Depot or somewhere and had them not only cut the spine off, but cut it into different block sizes. So she had her papers ready to go. And she said it didn't cost that much money to have them cut it. In fact, it was cheaper than buying the pre-cut papers. If you can't find a big phone book, go down to your Dollar Tree. They have doodle pads that will work pretty much the same way. It's kind of a newsprinty type fabric, or paper, sorry, one-track mind. And that will work too. And that's only $1 for a ton of sheets. So your dollar is going to go a long way. Don't worry if you can't find a big phone book, but I also love the small ones. I do a lot of 3-inch finished string blocks. So the small ones, your 6 by 8 would work perfect for that, because what I would do is cut 3-inch squares, overpiece my blocks by 1/4 inch all the way around so that I could trim a 3.5-inch square from it. And that way I'd you know, make good use of that paper. Oftentimes I will start with my finished size and just be sure to piece bigger. Depending on what size that I need, sometimes the paper doesn't come in the size I need, and I just know that, okay, this is this size, I need this size. I'm just going to over piece just so that I can have a block big enough to get the size square that I need. And again, this is printer paper. Buy the cheapest printer paper you can find. It's usually a lot thinner. And you're just going to set your stitch length a tiny bit smaller. But I can tell, I don't know if you can see the seam line on this one, that this is going to come off really, really easy because my stitch length is really small. Sounds like my CD has ended. The Peru music is gone. Now I have some stuff in here that I have a lot of short stuff in here. I'm pulling all the short stuff out. And I just dig and pull and dig and pull and try to find things that, here's one that's long enough. That's a good one. And this one is kind of wider at this end and narrower at this end. So it's going to have a natural taper to it. And that makes things more interesting. So I'm just going to put that one right there. Okay. Love the black and white splashy print, and yes, you can put that right up against a brown paper bag fabric. The more variety you throw in, the more you can get away with. There's a couple more short pieces. Here's one that, oh, just long enough. And it's a tone-on-tone white, and it's also wider at one end than the other, and it just fits this page. Don't you love it when you're finding you can use the whole thing and it's gone? Every year for Thanksgiving, one of my favorite things to do is to have a couple of quilts to bind. We sit around and we watch movies quite a bit. You know, my dad's coming to visit. He's a little bit older, and so, you know, he's very active. He's a very young, old guy. But it's cold, and it's not like it's summer. It's cold. We were at like 28 degrees or something this morning. There was frost on the grass. So we don't have a lot of outside activities Thanksgiving week, but we love to watch movies and have popcorn, and handwork during Thanksgiving week is one of my favorite things to do. So I always plan on having a couple of bindings. I've got some hand quilting to work on that dumb Dear Jane thing that has been in the hand quilting process for, I don't know, 10 years, who knows. I've got my hexies, of course, but I would love to get this quilt, the borders on this quilt. Ooh, can we put Christmas in here? Absolutely. I'd love to have the borders on this quilt and get it quilted before Thanksgiving, but I don't think I have enough time. Not even enough, but maybe I can just get the border units pieced. You know I'm dreaming, right? I've got to leave at noon tomorrow. Okay, now here's something that's fun too. This was a little kid's print. It has little dollies and bumblebees and ladybugs and flowers, and that's just gonna sew right on. Thing about string buckets or bags or bins or whatever you want is they really are kind of like the loaves and the fishes. The fabric never goes away. It just breeds. It's just in there. You use some, but you throw more in, and so it's constantly changing. But it never goes away. And if you love fabric and string piecing as much as I do, it's a good thing. We don't want it to go away. We worked a long time to build up our stash to be of this volume where we have it workable. Where if somebody says you're going to be snowed in for a week and we say, yay, because I have everything I need. Okay, so here we are with tan print, a polka dot, a pink little dot thing, and a Christmas fabric. What else can we throw in that's a little bit interesting? Ooh. Here is red cherries with green leaves on a black and white stripe. I think that's going to do it. And who knows how old these fabrics are? I certainly don't. It just all adds into the mix. Whenever I see red cherry fabrics, it reminds me of Mary Inglebright. So the little dollies' heads are cut off. Do we care? Nope. All right, what can we add to this? And then I'll take some more questions. Oh, there's some really odd stuff. Is that big enough? No. Okay, so it's like 2 inches short, which means I'm going to add something to it. What can I add to it that's wide enough? This one. Okay. So I'll just run these two together. They're about the same width. And then the next go around, I can use them as one piece. If I'm joining pieces end to end to end, and I'm going to use them, sew them on, and press them over, I like to press those seams open so it's less bulky when I go to press it out. Looking good so far. Now I have 2 pages to choose from. What have I got here? This is kind of a, okay, it's not peach. It's not pink. It's kind of, it's a really yucky flesh color. Okay. Don't make flesh colored fabric. It's just really weird. So I'm trying to use it up in here. It really is. It was not pink and it's not peach. It's just really kind of, I don't know how this ended up in my stash. I used it for a quilt back to get rid of it. But I can put it, I think, on the other side of those cherries. We've all got fabric in our stash that was kind of like, what was I thinking? Okay. And then this is that piece. So I'm going to trim that seam allowance just a little bit. There was some selvage on the end of that one piece. And then I just finger press that seam open. And that's going to help it lay flatter when I put it on the next block. Okay, so you can see that we're joined there. Perfect. Okay. Yep, I hear you buzzing, phone. There's no rest for the quilter who wants to keep piecing. She has to answer her phone. Okay. So that pinky peachy part, if it's sandwiched in between some other whites and creams, it's just going to add a little spot of color. It's going to be cut fairly small, not a lot of it showing. So it'll be a good accent. It was just really ugly as one big piece. Okay, so let's see where we are. Who's buzzing? A lot. We got a lot of buzzing here. Here's Annie from Sioux Falls. I'm doing my first ever mystery quilt with you and bought another first. And another first included in that, I bought a new fabric for the first time for just a quilt. For the 48 years I've been quilting, I have always used scraps. I'm getting excited about starting it now, and it is getting so close. There are still plenty of paint chips at the Lowe's here in Sioux Falls. Today I am working on my postage stamp quilt. 1 1/4 inch squares, odd size, but so fun. Thanks for sharing all you do. And that's from Annie in Sioux Falls. That's really funny. So if you need paint chips, go to Sioux Falls. Laura Austin says, stocking finished during Quilt-Cam. Remember I showed earlier? She's been working on that stocking, and here it is finished with a hanging ribbon and all. I think that's adorable. I think you could probably piece those little snowflakes while you're sitting for couch in the evening or while you're traveling, and then applique them down onto the stocking. I love that. What an adorable idea. Thank you for sharing. And that's not one. Sometimes it's spam. Wendy says, watching Quilt-Cam from Wendy Bain in Grand Junction, Colorado. My sister Stephanie from Texas is here visiting, so we are watching Quilt-Cam together today. Here we are at the Colorado National Monument. Yesterday, I'm on the right. We are coming on your Alaskan cruise, so there's 2 more. Woohoo! I'm so excited. So if you haven't heard about the Alaskan cruise in July, it leaves out of Seattle. It's the week after 4th of July. So go to the blog at quiltville.blogspot.com and click on the Alaska Cruise tab, and you'll have all of the information. We're going to have a blast. I will be the only instructor on the cruise, so we have all crews to work on one project together, which has not been announced yet. Be waiting for that. Will probably be announced in April, and that should give you April, May, June, July to pull your fabrics together, so that should be sufficient. But here's a photo of my girls. Aren't they gorgeous? What a beautiful view. So I'm so looking forward to seeing both of you on the cruise in July. I love it. I love it. Are you coming? I can't wait. Can't wait. There's still some slots available. We've got a limit of 50. And last I heard, we were getting close to 40. So be sure and make that decision early. Okay, Cynthia Warren says, just got back from my road trip to Santa Fe last night from Las Vegas. I decided to debone some shirts while watching today, but my cats really missed me, so Frank is up in my lap. So good to be able to spend this time with you today. Thanks for all you do. And it's so good to see Cynthia with her photo here. Boy, is that a big kitty, or is that the camera angle? She was with me on the October cruise and sure enjoyed spending time with her in person. But look at that big kitty. That's Frank. He's a quilt lover too. Great to see you, Cynthia. Beautiful. We had so much fun. You know, friendships are built and started at these kinds of events, but they're the kind of things that carry on into our future. There's a couple of gals that I had on our cruise a year ago when we did the Western Caribbean, Honduras, Belize, Cozumel. And one of the gals lives in, one of the Dakotas, okay? And her roommate is from Australia. And both of them needed roommates for the cruise so that they could share a cabin together and have the price affordable. And so they started emailing each other to find out, will we be compatible? Yes. And so they did that cruise together. Well, in April of this year, I think it's April or May, coming up in 2016, I am doing we call it like a land cruise. You're not on a ship, because there are a lot of people that don't want to do this on a ship, but it's like a cruise in that you have 4 days worth of workshops. We call it a cocoon. And there's 4 days worth of workshops with 4 different instructors. So you get a workshop with each instructor for 1 day. And this one's happening in Chicago. I don't have it up on my blog yet. It is on my calendar. I'm waiting for the flyers and information to be sent to me so that I can properly publicize this. But this Australian friend and her Dakota friend are coming to the Chicago Cocoon to spend another trip with us, and yes, we're sewing, and yes, we're having a good time, but their friendship has continued since this cruise, and what better way to continue that friendship and to get to see each other again. So if you don't like to cruise, there are things happening here on land that you can attend as well. And we hold the Cocoon in a 5-star hotel. It's the week before the Chicago Quilt Show, so you could stay a couple extra days, see the quilt show, and there will be more information coming on that very, very shortly. I'll have that post ready for you. So yes, when you travel on a cruise, you make friends for life. Nancy says, mini chunky churn dash, cute, cute, cute. Oh, girlfriend. Not sure if the text came through. Here is the start of the mini chunky churn dash. Thank you for allowing me to play with this pattern. So this has turned out so super. I don't remember what size she did. You know, there's a pattern for chunky churn dash under the free patterns tab at the top of the blog. If I turn it, will it be better? Yes. So Nancy took it, and I think she smally sized it by half or something like that. So she's got these little inky dinky blocks. Instead of 6-inch blocks, they're like 3-inch blocks, and they're so super cute. What a fun way to play in the scraps. And I love the purple that you're setting it with. Very nice job. Nice job. Okay. One more here. And then I think we need to call it an afternoon because my battery is not charging on my computer. The power is down to about here, and I have a feeling that it is unplugged from the wall back there. So we're about done here anyway. This says, Teresa, she says, I was really on the fence about doing the mystery quilt. I've never done one because I'm a bit of a control freak. Yes, like to know what I'm jumping into before I jump in kind of person. My friend Debbie did the Grand Illusion mystery, and that piqued my interest, so I went shopping in my stash. I found all the fabric I'll need. I'm so in. Can't wait to start. And I'm so excited. I'm just so excited. So some other things to think about with the mystery, Teresa. If you're one of those want to know where you're going first, just plan on making half the units. You know, instead of, if I tell you you're going to make 300 of this for this segment, only make 150, or you can even make 1/4 of the units so that you are keeping up with each step along the way as we switch gears to the next clue, move on to the next clue, no matter where you were with this first clue, and just keep up with it. Then when we have the reveal, if there was something that you, oh, I wish I had chosen this fabric for here, or oh, I really think I need a different color, or this background just isn't going to work. You don't have so much invested that you can't make a few quick swap-aroos and then move on to still finish the project. So that would be my advice for those who are a little bit control-oriented, and still allow you to play, knowing that even if you ended up not liking what the reveal was, these units can end up as something, you know, I'd like to tell my quilters there are no mistakes in quilting, only pot holders. So you can get a whole lot of pot holders or use them in the backing or whatever. If you want to make a change, you don't have so much invested. So that's a thought there. For those of you who want to just get your feet wet, practice a few units with us and just set those units aside. They don't even have to be in my colors. But then once you have the reveal, you'll have known how to do each of the units along the way, and you'll be able to choose your colors, choose your fabric, know where you're going with it, and still feel like you participated in the mystery. So that's my suggestion. As for our next Quilt-Cam, I start jury duty on December 7th. I have no idea where this is going to go. That's just the first time I'm supposed to show up and see if I'm even called for the jury. So we may be able to squeeze in a Quilt-Cam that first week of December before that starts. Anything after that is going to we're going to have to decide as this whole jury duty thing rolls out. I'm sure hoping if I do get picked, it's not going to be a 3-week thing. I was also asked earlier today in a Facebook comment, are you doing the sale on your books again this year? Are you doing the sale? Not this year, because I don't, number one, I don't have a book release. So last year I did it because I had a book release the year previous. or the spring previous. Last year, it took me 3 weeks to get caught up on all the orders to get them out before Christmas, and some of them didn't make it before Christmas because they were ordering at the last part of the sale, and sale books are sent out in the order that they come in, and I'm one person trying to fill more than 900 orders. And my family looked at me, my husband looked at me, he says, please tell me you're not doing that this year. So I'm not going to do a sale this year, and maybe we'll just do it every other year. But here's what I want to tell you, that the books are on my website at below retail. It's $1 below or $2 below, whatever it is. If you order $75 or more, your shipping is free within the USA, so that saves you on the shipping. And something I want to caution you about, when it comes to Amazon, the small business owners like myself, authors like myself, can't compete with Amazon because we have to buy our stock wholesale from our publishers. So if I buy my book wholesale, which is maybe 40% off of retail, it's not a 50% off, it's like 40% off of retail, and then I pay the shipping to have that shipped to me, and then I have to put it on sale for you, and then ship it free to you if you order so much. My margin is very, very, very small. The one thing that helps, though, is that if you order a book from Amazon, whether it's any of your favorite quilt designers, if you're buying their books on Amazon, they're only getting a very small royalty, which amounts to about 75 cents to $1 per book. How much do you love your designer friends? Buy the books from their website. That way, when they buy their book wholesale at 40% off of retail, and they pay your free shipping, they not only get that $1 per book, but they make just a little bit more, which allows them to keep designing, because this is our business. This is our livelihood. This is what puts a roof over our head, gas in the tank of the car. I just paid $500 to have my car gone through with a 60,000 mile thing for maintenance. Anyway, if you want to support your designer friends, please try buying your books directly from them, or else they're just getting $1 per copy. So that's just a little heads up there. So no sale this year. Next year, I'll have a new book release, so we may do a sale next year. But this year, I plan on taking it easy through the month of December and sewing my brains out, and I hope that you'll join me. So be looking for Quilt-Cam happening between December 1st and December 7th. I'll let you know. I'll update that on the blog. The blog is always the best way to know when Quilt-Cam is. Okay, we also update Facebook regularly, Instagram regularly, so follow me on there and we'll keep you in the loop that way. If I don't see you again before Thanksgiving, I want to wish you a very, very happy holiday with your family and friends and loved ones. Be looking for the first clue of Aliatare to go live Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. Let's get this show started. As for now, I'm going to log off and go spend some time with my family. So I'll be seeing you later. If it's still early where you are, keep sewing. See if you can get another hour out of your day. If it's late where you are, if you're in Europe, I want to thank you for sharing your evenings with me. And we'll do this again at a time when it's good for you. I like to swap between the late time in the USA or the early afternoon so that the Europeans can join us. We kind of try to spread it around that way. For the love of fabric, I'm Bonnie Hunter, signing off. Talk to you later, everybody. Bye-bye.